Hi everyone, my name is Masumi Azu. I'm the Executive Director at the Japanese Cultural Center in Saginaw. This is our 6th day of Saginaw Japan Week, and we hope you enjoy our videos introducing a culture and our sister city. I'd like to take a moment here to thank the Japan Foundation Center for Global Partnership for their generous support, which made the entirety of this event possible. We have a special guest joining us from Japan, Miss Yoshiko Takahashi. She's a Shigaraki Ware ceramic artist, and Dr. Natsu Oyobe will be moderating this interview. And let me welcome and introduce Dr. Oyobe. Dr. Oyobe is originally from Tokyo and currently the curator of the Asian art at the University of Michigan Museum of Art. She specializes in modern and contemporary Japanese art and has curated numerous exhibitions here in the US. In fact, she served as the curator consultant for the Japan Gallery at the Detroit Institute of Art. She's also a student of the tea ceremony, and initially I approached her about discussing the tea ceremony implement. I am grateful to Dr. Oyobe for her suggestion to hold this unique live international interview with Japanese artists and for her connection to artists like Takahashi-san. Thank you so much, Dr. Oyobe. Please note the audience audio is muted, and please do not use the raise hand feature. You can submit questions anytime using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. They will answer as many as they can at the end. The chat function is also disabled. Okay. じゃあ、それでは、およべさん、高橋さん、よろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you, Masumi-san, and happy Halloween, everyone. And thank you for inviting me to this exciting event. And I'd like to thank the Consulate General of Japan in Detroit for hosting, and also Saginaw Tea House for hosting this event. And this is really great opportunity to introduce the Shigaraki Ware tradition and the work of Yoshiko Takahashi. And Yoshiko is joining us from Japan, and now it's 7 a.m. So thank you, Yoshiko, for joining us so early in the morning. And let me introduce Yoshiko. Yoshiko Takahashi was born in 1988 into the family of Takahashi Rakusai, the lineage of makers of Shigaraki Ware. Yoshiko studied ceramics at the Kyoto Prefectural Ceramicists Technical Institute and the Shigaraki Ceramic Research Institute. After graduation, she worked as a studio technician for the Artist in Residence program at the Shigaraki Ceramic Cultural Park. Now working as an independent artist in Shigaraki, she regularly exhibits her work in museums and galleries throughout Japan and also in the US. Her work will be featured in the exhibition Clay as Soft Power, Shigaraki Ware in Post-War America and Japan, scheduled to open at the University of Michigan Museum of Art in fall 2022. So before visiting her studio, that's the main event today, I'd like to talk briefly about the history of Shigaraki Ware and its connection to Chanoyu or tea ceremony, and also the Takahashi Rakusai family. So let me share my screen. Okay. Oops. So Shigaraki is located near Kyoto Prefecture. Well, it's in Shiga Prefecture, sister state of Michigan. And as you can see in Shiga Prefecture map, that the vast area of Shigaraki Prefecture is Biwa Lake, the largest lake in Japan. And Shigaraki is surrounded by mountains, and it has made ceramics for many centuries for nearby farming communities. And it started making ceramics back in the 13th century. So the Shigaraki ware is characterized for non-glazed and it's fired in a wood-fired kiln. And it's the characteristic is quite a rough surface. And because there are many impurities in the clay itself. On the surface, wood ash inside the kiln petrifies with feldspar, and it becomes greenish, very beautiful greenish, translucent natural glaze. And both large and small jars to store seeds or bowls or mortars for cooking use, those type of wares were created for many centuries. But the humble ware became, wares became suddenly quite fashionable in the early 16th to the 17th century. Tea masters in Kyoto and Sakai admired the very unpretentious, simple beauty of Shigaraki ware. So tea masters like Sen no Rikyu, you see his portrait image here, use Shigaraki ware vessels in tea ceremony. So it was a time that very intimate kind of experience of drinking tea was practiced. So in a small tea house, such as this architecture, using simple materials, as you can see in the roof, they use starched material that borrowed from farmhouse. So in this setting, the ceramics in the new style of teaware was created. And this is one example, water jar owned by Sen no Rikyu. There's a big crack in the middle, and these tea masters really appreciate these kind of accidents. And you can see the sort of a bumpy surface of this type of ware. So these tea wares are used in this kind of very intimate atmosphere. But these unglazed ceramics in Shigaraki became kind of almost forgotten in the 18th and 19th century. And in the meantime, in the 19th century, the family of Takahashi Rakusai established a business of making ceramics in Shigaraki. And such as these kind of smooth, type of wares. And beginning in the 1920s, the third generation of Takahashi Rakusai and other potters in Shigaraki began research of old unglazed ware and tried to revive the tradition of unglazed wares, thrived back in the 16th and 17th centuries. And this is a small jar in the style of the small jar, which was created back in the 16th, 17th century, or even earlier. And in the 1960s, the Rakusai family also welcomed several American ceramic artists who were eager to study unglazed ware in Shigaraki. And in this photo, you can see on the right side, there's an American female ceramic artist, Georgette Zilps. This photo was provided by her. And in the second person from the left in the front is Takahashi Rakusai III. So the Rakusai IV, Yoshiko's grandfather, is over 19 years old now, but he's still making ceramics. And this is the water jar of his creation. So Rakusai III, in this photo, you see Rakusai III and his wife Tsurue making a pot together. But actually, Tsurue is helping to manually moving the potter's wheel. So in Shigaraki, until 1950s and 60s at least, women were kind of in sort of just the helpers, not really, become the sort of a main sort of a potters. So 2020s, the things are changing, and the next generation is Yoshiko, who's going to be the first female member of the family who will succeed the name of Takahashi Rakusai. So it's very exciting. And Yoshiko's work will be featured in exhibition at UMA, at my museum in fall 2022. And this exhibition will highlight Shigaraki Ware's impact in the post-war America, but also American artists' impact on Shigaraki potters. And so now I'm gonna stop this slides and go to Yoshiko's studio. Okay, so Yoshiko-san, thank you. And thank you for taking us to your studio. Let's see. So do you want to greet everyone here?
Yeah. Yes. Hello, thank you very much, Natsu-san, for the introduction. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm Yoshiko Takahashi, and I am on live from Shigaraki, Japan. It's very beautiful morning today, and I'm surrounded by beautiful color trees. Today, I would like to show my kilns and studio. I hope you enjoy.
Okay, can you take us to the kiln areas?
Sure, please go this way. At the Rakusai pottery, there are three different types of wood kiln: the itekoi kiln, the noborigama, the climbing kiln, and the jagama, the snake kiln. The unglazed wood-fired yakishime-style pottery is one of the Shigaraki Ware's greatest charm, and we utilize those kilns to bring out the best of different types of pottery because they all have different results, even when the clay is the same.
And what kind of fuel do you use for these kilns?
The kilns are fired using lead pines. It burns really well, and the pine ash melts well on the clay surface during the firing to give the pot some natural ash glaze.
And I can see the more piles of wood in the background. It's amazing.
For the bigger kiln, we need about 250 bundles of wood and then almost 600 bundles of wood. So we need to keep it dry. So we need a lot of piles over there.
That's really amazing. Yeah, amount of wood that you will use. So how long do you have to fire these kilns?
The Shigaraki clay is refractory and requires slow and steady firing in order to mature. The climbing kiln and the snake kiln gets fired for 5 days in total. Since this itekoi kiln is a lot smaller compared to the other kilns, it only takes about 12 to 15 hours to fire. We look at the amount of wood, the hours of firing, and the melted ash on the pot surface to determine when to finish firing.
And what do you do while you have to put lots of the of course wood, but how do you kill your time if you have to be in front for 5 or 6 days?
From the beginning, the firing is very slow. So I have like a 20 minutes in between the stoking. So I read and I listen to the music. But like when I get sleepy at night, I like doing some stretching and workout with using all the like bricks around me.
I see. And what kind of effects do you get from using each different kiln type?
I would like to explain about a little bit of structure of the kiln and effects we get from each kilns. I'm going to start with this one, the Ittekoi-kyo. The name Ittekoi refers to the movement of the frame. Since the stocking area is located low on the side and the chimney light above it, the frame lands across the bottom of the kiln first and then comes back to the chimney after bouncing off on the wall on the other side.
Wow.
This is the inside of the Ittekoi kiln. And then next, I'm going to show you the climbing kiln. This is the Noborigama, the climbing kiln. It was built on a slope and it consists of a 5 firebox and 5 more chambers. The 5 chambers on the side. And then I'm inside. There are 4 openings between each chambers, connecting all the chamber from the firebox to the chimney. The frame climbs up from the lower chamber through the opening to the higher chamber. So this is how big is the size of the kiln.
Yoshiko-san, oh yeah, I'm fine. Yes, the internet connection was a little bit bad. So yeah, but it's fine now.
The most distinctive feature of this kiln is the size, having multiple chambers that are about 45 feet long, 13 feet wide, and 5 feet tall each. It takes a lot of pieces to fill up the entire kiln. Noborigama firing has become the biggest event for us because we can now only fire it once a year. The results from this kiln, especially in the firebox, we can achieve richer and more variety of ash effects from this kiln compared to the other wood kiln we have. And then last one is Jagama, the snake kiln. Snake kiln is a long tubular kiln built on a slope similar to an anagama. The pots loaded in berry frond gets beautiful ash glaze, and the rest gets rich flushing that illustrates the flow of the frame in the kiln. Our snake kiln was built 45 years ago, and all ash from the 45 years of firing has been accumulated and turned into beautiful blue glaze on the inside of the kiln. So this is a very slow, long and skinny kiln, we have to crawl in to load the kiln.
So Yoshiko-san,
Firewood is consumed.
どうぞどうぞ、すみません。
Yes, はい。ですか? Firewood is consumed very fast as we stoke, especially at higher temperature, so a continuous supply of fuel is needed to sustain and to raise the temperature. The kilns are fired up to 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature is controlled by the amount of wood and the time between stokings.
And what kind of materials is used to construct this kiln? Is that a mud or clay?
We built with the bricks first, and then we put the mud with straw inside.
Straw inside.
Straw.
Okay. Ah.
To make it keep the wall warm.
And inside was so beautiful. So these green walls inside is all ash glaze. And
Right, yes.
yeah, it is really amazing. Oh yeah, thank you for showing that again.
And sometimes the kiln drips the glaze, the pots, and then it's really beautiful.
So it itself is like an artwork.
It's true.
So how does actually ash turn into the natural glaze? It's really like a miracle, but how does it happen?
I think so too. The wood turns into ash and falls onto the works, and the ash combined with the minerals such as feldspar and silica contained in Shigaraki clay melts together, then vitrify, creating natural ash glaze on the surface. This natural ash glaze can vary in color, texture, and thickness depending on the placement of the pieces in the kiln, and also depending on the kiln themselves too.
And after each firing, how long do you have to wait until you can open the kiln?
For Itekoi kiln, the small kiln, we can open after a day, but those big kilns, Noborigama and Jagama, we have to wait about 3 days. But it's still very hard. But I can't wait any longer like a kids in the Christmas morning. So we just
Yeah, and after 3 days, are these pots still quite hot? Or they're cold?
pots are cooled down, but the ash inside the left ash in the kiln is still hot, and then also the kiln itself is still hot.
Mm-hmm.
But winter is good.
Oh yeah, winter is good, but it must be very hard during the summertime.
Yes.
Yeah. You have to fight with the mosquitoes too.
Right, that's true. So, but yeah, we want to avoid the summer kiln firing.
Oh, I see. Yeah. And how many people are they usually there to help or to do the firing, especially for these two kilns?
For the snake kiln, Jagama, we can just only fire with my father and me because it's smaller than Noborigama, but Noborigama needs 6 people. We have to stop from the both side, so we need 2 people in one shift. That we switch the shift for every 6 hours.
Oh. And I usually when I visit the artist kilns, there's usually like how to say saidan or the Shinto kind of deity. I mean place that here. Yeah, do you have them too?
Yeah, a little
Oh,
bit.
okay. Yeah. So they're and oh great. Yeah. So before you start firing, do you pray for God?
Yes, we do for the like a successful firing and after firing.
Yeah.
We do.
So they will protect you and make you make it each firing successful.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I already asked this question. Which kiln is your favorite among 3?
Well, I would say the Jagama, the snake kiln, because I really love the beautiful flashing colors coming up from this kiln. And then it's almost like a painting. And then I think that's my favorite.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Okay, I think it's now a good time to for you to show your studio space.
Okay. This way, please. My great-grandfather moved here about 50 years ago from the downtown Shigaraki to have his own kiln in a mountainside. Since then, we are living and working here.
So were you born here and grew up in this house?
Yes. And then my grandparents are living there, and then this is actually my parents' house.
I see. And do you live here too?
No, I live like 5 minutes away from here.
By walking?
By car.
I see.
Yes. This is my studio.
Okay. Oh. So this entire space is your work area?
Yes. Yes, since my studio is located in the mountainside, it's very calm and quiet, so I can really focus on making.
Mhm.
It's small, but there's everything I need for my work. This table for the wedging clay is perfect height for me. And then these pottery wheels. I change wheels depending on the things I make.
Mm.
These are some fired pieces. Needs to be polished after. And then also the drying room.
Wow. See, looks really nice. And can you show us your tools?
And these are the tools I use. I made most of them back when I was in school 10 years ago. The more I use, the more they fit my hand. And then these are for trimming and carving. And the one on my side of is a lot of carving and trimming. So I use these a lot.
Okay. And you said on the left, is that that's a electric potter's wheel? Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. So.
Simple.
Mhm. Oh,
Simple.
Jimbo. I heard that's the best in the world. Oh. But I also saw that there's another. Is that another potter's wheel behind you?
Yes. That's also automatic, but it's.
Oh, I see.
It's for the like a bigger wax. It has more power
Mm.
and the bigger table, wheel table.
So for this one, you usually make bigger works
It's like this.
like this. Yeah, that's a beautiful one. Okay. And do your grandfather and father work in the same area?
This is my studio, and then my father used to use this studio, but he kindly offered me to use this studio, so I took over his studio, and then now he's working over there.
Mm. Oh,
And
I
then also
see.
my father.
Nice. So now, can you show us your work much closely? We've seen your work, but you know, if we can, yeah, see them more closely.
I fired those in a snake kiln. You would see the difference of colors, even the clay is the same. This one was from the very front, and the ash from the firing turned into beautiful blue glaze. This was called. And also this was placed in the middle of the kiln. This shown the black hero colors of the frame.
Mhm.
And this one is also in the back of the kiln, but it gets more ash.
Mm.
It's really melted on the surface.
Mm. I see, I see.
Mm.
So this so that where you have lots more ashes or glaze, it's
Yes.
facing toward the fire. Is that?
So like I think this was like the. This was in the very front.
I see.
And then like a middle of the front and in the middle.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So the more it gets close to the fire, it more gets ash and melted.
I see, I see. It's and you said about sort of a characteristic of your work already, but can you explain more?
Yes, yes. And Yakishime potters do not use glazes on the surface, so the focus of the work is on the form and the texture. I really enjoy the carving process as pieces change their form as I move my hand and the tool. I enjoy carving also because there are always new discoveries in the changing form of the work in progress. What I love the most about the pasted and carved surface is the different shades of ash and the contrast in color made on every line I make. And
And why are you drawn to yakishime? It's as you said, it's really, you know, particular in a way, and you don't use glazes. And what kind of, you know, the Shigaraki Ware type yakishime appeal to you?
It is very hard to describe the charms of Shigaraki ware because it is perceived not only through sights, but also through the evoked feeling upon encountering a pieces of Shigaraki pottery. They don't look gorgeous or fancy, but with the warm, earthy feeling you get from the modest appearance and also with this indescribable powerfulness, the Shigaraki ware captures many people's hearts. And the parts of Shigaraki ware that fascinates me is how all of my movements, breeze, and rhythm while forming the pot is left clearly on the surface even after firing.
Yeah, so many people say that, you know, unglazed ware like Shigaraki is really the, you know, the best kind of ceramics because you can't really, how to say, decorate the surface so much. It's, you know, you so much depend on the accidents or, you know, these kind of things. So did you really, so it's in a way also, it's really hard type of ceramics to create. So did you grow up thinking that you would become a potter? It's really kind of, you know, hard, you know, path for your life. So, or did your father or your grandfather, you know, ask you to, you know, really become a potter?
Um, then I was born as the second daughter of Takahashi family in night. No, I never told to become a potter by my family, but I always thought somewhere in my heart that I had to carry on the family tradition and I wanted to keep it up. But I also felt ashamed that I had not yet started studying pottery despite the feeling I had. So I decided to go to the ceramic school.
Mhm. And so, and what was your training like, you know, at the school? And also after school, did you study with your grandfather and father?
Um, After graduating from a college, I decided to enroll the technical school in Kyoto first. I was familiar with ceramics, but because of my upbringing, but I did not have any experience working with clay. I clearly remember the first time when I touched the clay on the pottery wheel. It was like an electric shock for me, but everything felt so right. I was completely captivated by the clay. What I was most happy about at the time was that my family was really happy with my decision. After 2 years in Kyoto, I came back home to study at the Shigaraki Ceramic Research Center for a year. After graduating from the research center, I finally started working for my family business. And around the same time, I started to make my own work as well and also began learning from firing process in earnest. A few years after coming back to Shigaraki, I took up a job at the Shigaraki Ceramic Cultural Park as a studio technician for the world-renowned ceramic residency program. I always wished to get involved with the SCCP ever since I started to study ceramics, so I was very happy and inspired to work there. I am now a full-time studio potter, and then I'm running every day.
Yeah, well, I have to congratulate you to make that big decision. And yeah, and you're very busy showing your work. So at the exhibition, so that's really great. And did your father ask you to inherit or succeed the Takahashi Rakusai's name?
No, he didn't. I mean, not yet. But I will continue to explore the possibility of clay and kilns and to sharpen my own aesthetic sense. And I will give my all to further flourish of the Rakusai pottery in my own way.
Great. And at the residency program, art program at the Shigaraki Ceramic Culture Park, I know that I've been visiting there, and it's really different environment. There are many artists coming from other parts of the world, and really they make totally different kind of. I mean, each of them are very independent. And what did you learn from your experience there?
Yeah, it was one of my most inspiring days. I work as a studio technician supporting the artists working at the residency. While working with artists, I learned to have a free spirit and I gained wider perspective in ceramic. The residency welcomes ceramic artists from all over the world. They work so enthusiastically while trying to use new materials from Shigaraki. There are also many who are keen to fire the wood kilns. I was always impressed by their achievements, even though they are new to this place and the materials.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, well, thank you so much for talking about your training practice and also showing us your studio. And so I'm going to turn to the video that of the actually Shigaraki Ceramic Culture Park. They're having a wonderful exhibition right now of Dear Shigaraki Ware, and Yoshiko's work is actually included there. So I'm gonna show a video, and I will get back to you, Yoshiko-san, and you can talk about your work. So let me share my screen again. Oh, before I move to the video, I want to remind the audience that if you have any questions, you can type your question using a Q&A function. So, and after the video, I'm gonna read the question and to Yoshiko, and she will answer. So please type your questions. Okay, I'm gonna show the video now.
Greetings from Shigaraki, Japan. Today I'm going to take you to a quick 5 minutes tour of the special exhibition called Miraculous Clay, which is currently held at the Museum of Contemporary Ceramic Art located in the Shigaraki Ceramic Culture Park. First of all, I would like to thank about 1 hour drive distance from Kyoto. The other 5 Asian kilns are located within, let's say, 100 to 200 miles away from Kyoto, which was the capital of Japan at that time. You may be wondering, what makes a particular ware so distinctive or different from the others? Or what makes Shigaraki different from Bizen, for example? According to the creator's explanation, there are 5 factors to be looked into. These are number 1, clay, number 2, water, number 3, wood, which is used to fire the kiln, number 4, artisans or artist skill set, number 5, the kiln. Then the next question is, what makes Shigaraki so attractive or so unique? We have to thank the clay, of course, the miraculous Shigaraki clay, and furthermore, we would have to give a big credit to the old lake viewer, who is like the mother of the clay. In general, the Shigaraki clay has a white in color and it gives a rough texture and the warm colors when it is fired in the kiln. You can see the pictures of feldspar, granite, silica stones, and others, and the clay allocation map of Shigaraki showing the clay allocation, or I mean how clay is deposited in the ground. This is a freshwater container, onyoke style, called benihanako, made in the 16th century. You can see the effect of the clay after it gets fired. Look at the inside, all these small white dots. It is amazing. Now, we move on to the section number 2. In this second section, we will track back along the trail of exchanges related to Shigaraki that connected Japan to the States, or vice versa. We will look into both American and Japanese ceramic artists who gets influenced by and or give influences to others.
This is a Peter Bokos work, by the way. Yeah, these tea balls too. This is by Toshiko Takaezu, another very well-known American ceramic artist. This is by Koyama Yasuhisa, and he created this while he was actually staying in US. And these works by Otani Shiro, and he did lots of workshops in the US.
The last section. In the third section, we look into Shigaraki today through the eyes of today's artists who select their own clay with care and who control their kilns as they draw out their own expressions. Mr. Nozomu Shinohara, who wanted to experience different types of natural firing effects. Interestingly, Shinohara put them in different locations within the same kiln. And the result gave these 3 bases with completely different faces. Quite interesting. Mr. Kiyotsugu-sawa, who intentionally ripped the base so that we will be able to see the inside of the base. Miss Sonoko Iyama, who demonstrated a high level of technique and also made this work like drawing art. This piece reminds me of the Hiroshige's ukiyo-e. That is the bridge and rain, as you can see, black clouds with many, many lines. This is Michio Furutani's work called Aurora. He once traveled around the world and got inspired by the aurora he actually saw.
Oh, this work is by Fujimoto Hide. Yeah, this is by Sugimoto Sadamitsu. Oh, すいません、上田直方さんです。And this is Yoshiko-san's. So I don't know how to stop this. Let me see. Oh yeah, it stopped. So Yoshiko-san, oh, I stop me. Okay. So this is Yoshiko's work. Yoshiko-san, can you tell us a little bit about your work here?
Yes, this was fired in the snake kiln Jagama last spring, and I always have a thing for curvy gold shape, and I love to make the shape. This is a developed gold style, and I was inspired by the antique glass perfume bottle, and then this is the same types of the.
I see.
Yes.
And so how tall is this piece? Is this about 30 centimeter?
About 20 centimeters.
20 centimeter.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a beautiful work.
Thank you.
Okay, let me finish this video. I think we'll start. Okay. Yeah, so this exhibition will go through until December 13th I know that, we can't really travel to Japan right now, but if anyone in Japan seen this video, if you have a chance, please visit this wonderful exhibition. So, okay, so I can move on to the Q&A, and looks like we have some questions. Let me see. Oh, okay. So the first question is from Mark, and his question is, how many pieces do you put in the step kiln? So step kiln probably is the Noborigama, the climbing kiln.
Whoa, it's very hard to say. We put from the Guino Misake cup to the big pot. So I would say it's about 10,000 pieces.
10,000.
It's a lot of pieces.
And so only the Takahashi family use that kiln, or you also have someone else, allow them to use the kiln too?
Most of them are ours, but some of them are my father's friend who is working for helping us fire the kiln. They put some pieces inside the kiln.
Oh yeah. So yeah, actually Sarah has, I guess you kind of answered, but how many potters use it? So you just said that, so your family and your father's friends.
Yes.
Wonderful. And Sarah has another question. So it's everyone who uses the kilns have to help the firing.
It kind of everyone really how to say, care what's gonna be inside the kiln, so they come to help us.
Yeah, it's a communal work. You have to work in collaboration. Yeah, it's nice. So Mari has another question. Yoshiko-san, you showed your works created in the snake kiln. Does the highest or higher part of the snake kiln also produce something appeal to you, or can the area be usable? So the top part of snake kiln.
Yes, the front is the best parts of the kiln. So these are most of them are in front, but in the back of the kiln, in the back of the kiln is also really beautiful. And then we put some tablewares in the back of the kiln.
Let's see. And from maybe your experience, or maybe your father and grandfather's experience, that you can predict pretty much the effect. So if you put this piece here, you get certain kind of effect. Can you tell that?
Yes, most of the time we can tell where we put those things. We can guess what's gonna be, but every time is different. So it's like a gamble, always gamble.
Always gamble. Yeah. So so you create these pots and in your studio, and you keep them, and then firing day comes and you put everything, and you kind of you really need to pray for God.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a long process. Yeah.
Yes. But for the Noborigama, the climbing kiln, we need to fill a lot of spaces. So we make and then we bisque and we put in a kiln. So it's a repeating work.
Oh, I see. I see. And okay, I guess those are the questions from audience, but I have some questions, and that's Masumi-san. Do you have any questions to Yoshiko-san?
Okay, how hard is the Shigaraki Ware in general? Because I remember I dropped my bizen yaki on the floor. Actually, instead of the cup breaking it, but actually it broke my ceramic flooring. And I'm kind of curious, how strong is the Shigaraki Ware?
But if you drop from like this high, it will break. But we make it a little bit thicker than like Bizen or porcelain. So in that way, it can be stronger.
Stronger.
And I have to add that, in my slides, I show this water jar that Sennorikyu used, and there's a big crack, and that crack was mended with the lacquer. So it's actually sort of aesthetic, it's aesthetic choice, or people consider beautiful if there's a crack, or, and you mend with this gold or, silver or lacquer, and it becomes, another beautiful object. And for something like Shigaraki Ware, you can enjoy that way too. So I have one question. So, everyone, Yoshiko-san, yeah, everyone is, kind of staying home these days because of the pandemic. And how are you coping with this current situation, being a potter? Mute してます。
Excuse me. Thankfully, my studio is at home, so I can stay home and working. And then also, the potters are always isolated in the studio, so nothing really changed. So, but like some of the group exhibitions are being canceled or postponed. But yeah, nothing really changed. I just have more time for my to doing the gardening and baking.
I see. I cannot see you. Yeah, now I can see you. In the meantime, we have another question from audience, from Ariel. Yoshiko-san, you mentioned the bisque firing. What kiln do you use for it? Electric, gas, or wood?
I use gas kiln for the bisque firing. Then yes, for about 600 degrees for the bisque kilns.
And is the gas kiln inside your studio?
No, it's other studio. It's in the other studio.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Masumi-san, do you have any other questions?
Okay.
We still have some time, so. Well, I can. Oh, no, here you go. Okay, sorry, I didn't see other audience questions. So Lara is asking, is all Shigaraki Ware single fired?
We can fire many like twice or third time or more, because maybe I can show you some of my pieces. So this was just a low clay, dry low clay. And this has been fired once, but if you fire, it's not really like a no character. So if I fire one more time, and then it gets like those colors. So we can fire like a twice, third time. So like this was just one firing, but you fire it really well. But yes, like yeah, like, and also like Iga Ware is also like fired like 7 times.
Wow, 7 times.
Yes.
And if people don't know, Iga Ware is actually how do you say it has more sort of grace. I mean the natural grace sort of, and it's actually Iga is next to Shigaraki. I mean location is, but the Iga type is practiced in Shigaraki too. Yeah. It's another yakishime ware, unglazed ware tradition. And Sarah is asking, is it 600 Celsius? So, yeah, is that correct?
Delicious.
Okay, Celsius, yes. Okay. Well, I have another question. So besides maybe your father or grandfather's work or other potters' work, where do you get inspiration? You mentioned the glassware actually for your, base, but any other artworks or, something that you get inspiration from?
Like for yeah, I like to go to the museum, then I get inspiration, and also like the patterns of the leaves and like flowers for the like more carving process. I get like inspiration from those patterns from nature.
See, do you do drawings before you actually start making pot?
Yes, for the shape, I do some drawing and then put it in the side of my table and then doing some work.
See, yeah. Okay. Well, actually, there are more questions. Very live audience, so thank you.
Thank you.
Lara has another question. Do you sell some works as artistic work and some work as like everyday ceramics, like everyday use? Yeah.
I make most of them are functional and like a bases, tablewares, and also the tea ceremony tools.
And do you show or sell these works through you do exhibitions at galleries and you exhibit all of them together, or you kind of change type of wares objects you show in each exhibition?
I think everything tablewares to bases and also the tea ceremony tools, everything.
Everything, yeah, okay. So Lara has another question. Do you have favorite ceramic artists in Japan and in the West?
It's hard to choose. You mean Japanese artists?
She's asking both. So Japanese, I mean, if you don't have any, that's fine. But,
I like Kanjiro Kawaii. It's like a folk Japanese movement, the Minge style. Kawaii Kanjiro. Also, I like Jennifer Lee from the UK.
yeah, she's very popular in US. Yes. Yeah, great. Okay. So we are close to end. So only 2 minutes to 7 here. So so thank you, Yoshiko-san. And thanks also to Shigaraki Ceramic Culture Park and Chiemi Kaneko, who provided and made this video. So thank you. And so thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching.
どうもありがとうございました。Okay. So tomorrow is the last day of Saginaw Japan Week, and I will invite Professor Monica Dix to talk about Japanese poetry. If you haven't signed up, please pre-register through our homepage. Thank you all. Happy Halloween, and please stay safe. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right.